Is this heaven?
No, it's a podcast. Welcome to the Field of Geeks podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 162 of the Field of Geeks podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Jonah.
Welcome back, Jonah. It's been a while.
Hey.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me back. Love it.
Yeah, anytime. Guest geek. he's part of the lineup.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we got so much to talk about. It's like so much news. I don't think we're going to be able to fit everything into one show, so we will try to just talk about, the huge stuff. The other stuff that's not very developed, maybe we'll skip over. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But first off, I want to remember Tommy Tiny Lester. He was Debo from Friday. And he just passed away, unfortunately. And yeah, he was a great presence in my life. And I'm pretty sure all of us, he always appeared in something. Dark Knight, he was in that one. Fifth Element.
Okay, so what was he in Dark Knight? Because I was trying to figure that out.
He was the prisoner who said, "Give me the detonator and I'll show you what you should have done with it." And he just throws it out the window.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yep. And he was the president in Fifth Element. That was a cool part.
Oh, man, I love that movie.
Yeah, I have to see it again. I love the movie. I'm sure it holds up still. Just kind of the 90s, right? It's just unique films here and there being made. And that one that was something special. That was just, I remember seeing it with my uncle, and, I don't think it was his cup of tea, but I think we both dug it, It's just because you just didn't know what to expect. It seemed like just a simple Bruce Willis action movie, but there was so much more in it. It was just, you're leaving the Earth, going another planet or a cruise ship in space. But yeah, Friday, he played Debo. I first knew him as Zeus in No Holds Barred, and yeah, dude always creeped me out just because it's just, he's intense looking, and I just was, he was a villain in that film, so, I was always like, oh, he's the villain. If you want someone to play villain, it's him. So yeah, it was nice to see him as the president in The Fifth Element. It was probably the only good guy character he played. I guess you could say Dark Knight, but he was a prisoner, so I'm not sure how he got there. But what are your thoughts to go around? What are your thoughts on his legacy, if you will?
Yeah, he terrified me when I was a kid, in like No Holds Barred, and even in Friday. I mean, he was scary. I mean, he was scary in that movie, but it was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's great in like The Fifth Element, Dark Knight. I mean, everything he's done he's been good in, and it's tragic. I'm sorry to hear that he passed away. 62 seems in this day and age so young. Did they say what the cause of death was?
COVID.
Was it COVID?
Yeah. He had it like 4 months ago, and then he feared it was back, and it was. I think they finally have the results, and that he did have it. So
yeah, he didn't feel well, and he couldn't breathe, and he was weak, he said. And then family and friends, they did a check on him with the authorities, and they found him. So I didn't know it was COVID. At the time I read it, the autopsy was being done, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It seems to be hitting a lot of people, obviously, and that's too bad.
It's a good reminder. It's a good reminder because, a lot of people are afraid to go, get things checked out. If you're not feeling well, please, don't, for the sake of others, don't wait, Make sure to get yourself checked out. Worst case, you've got something,
serious,
worse, but
very serious. Yeah.
But better to be proactive than reactive.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because he popped up here and there, and he did have work. I think he was doing some voiceover before he passed. But yeah, it was always cool when he appeared in Dark Knight. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, that's awesome. I didn't ever really know his name until later on. He was a great presence, and yeah, he will be remembered for his great work. So yeah, that was a bummer. That was a true bummer. Hate when news like that breaks. Seems like we're losing a lot of people this year, and it's tragic. But yeah, moving on to happier things. Disney, they had their Investors Day conference, D23, and of course, You know, they reminded us all who Daddy was. Everything they just dropped on us, you know, just an explosion of news
Oh my
and
goodness,
content.
right?
Yeah, I was just like, I was telling Jonah, like, it's just reading into this, it's all overwhelming. It's like too much candy, too much sugar. They had major reveals for Marvel, Disney itself, and of course Star Wars. Disney Plus is a major success. It's exceeded all expectations since its launch last November.
Oh, good.
Yeah, 86.8 million subs.
Wow.
Yeah, and by 2024, they expect 300 to 500. Yeah, it's just going to grow, especially with all this content. You know, I think a lot of people, when Disney Plus launched, The Mandalorian was the thing I think that brought most people to it. Me included, of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, The Mandalorian is like, that's cross platforms. Like, people who aren't even Star Wars fans are watching it and are saying it's good.
Because it's like Western.
Well, yeah, I was driving some clients last night, and these little kids, you know, couldn't be more than 5 or 6, were talking to each other. Did you see the latest episode of The Mandalorian? and then they were like, oh, are you a bigger Mandalorian fan or Star Wars fan? And they were like, I don't know. And I just kind of chuckled to myself, and I was like, well, you know, they kind of one and the same, but but see, that just goes to show how big of a reach The Mandalorian's made and how good it is as an actual show.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and it's funny because my wife is not, and she'll sit down and watch Mandalorian with us every week. And even when like my son and I are like nerding out about some callback or Easter egg or something that she doesn't even know, she just rolls her eyes, and then Baby Yoda, and she's like, "Oh, Baby Yoda."
Well, and how awesome is Boba Fett in the show? I mean, you know, he's a little bit older, he's a little bit worse for wear, but he makes this oath to the Mandalorian, and it's like he follows through, and it's so much fun to watch him. And did you see the cleaned up armor this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
God, that looked good.
Well,
that looked so good.
That's something to ask you about. Obviously, everyone listening, this is spoiler territory, but I think most people are watching this show weekly. Like Jonah said earlier,
it's so hard.
You have to watch it.
Like hold off and wait for 2 episodes.
I know.
Through, you know.
I know. I waited like all day, and I'm like, I'm looking at Facebook. I'm like, I gotta stop this. Like, I already saw the cleaned up armor. I was like, damn it. And
I know.
So I was like, I gotta go watch this show right now. Just gotta drop everything. Sorry, kids. You're gonna have to, you know, drive yourselves to wherever. This is important. So,
right. You have to watch it. It's gonna be spoiled, and you're gonna hate it. I mean, you're gonna hate that it was spoiled, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Right away, or else crawl under a rock until you can. So.
Right. Yeah, but what do you guys think about the cleaned up armor? That's kind of controversial in a way to some of the people who liked the worn out armor, but I don't mind it. It's going forward with the character, and that armor's been looking like shit for years, so it deserved a new paint job, in my opinion, or cleanup.
I think, you know, just like, you ever notice like every new episode of Star Wars, the droids and R2D2 and C3PO are all nice and shiny, and then they get all shit on, and then at the end they're all nice and shiny again. I mean, that kind of pays homage to that.
Yeah,
I suppose, in a way. So yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I actually like it because it's kind of like, okay, I got my armor back. I'm happy. Now I'm going to take care of it, you know, like I should have in the beginning.
I think it does show like the character has grown, right? Like he's older. This is a different Boba Fett than what we had, and I think that's okay. It's just he's been through a lot of shit. So
I think it shows that it's like kind of given him like a renewed sense of purpose.
Yeah.
For the character. I mean, this is a guy that was, you know, stranded on that planet for however long looking for his armor, and then he finally gets it back. Take a little pride in that. Give it a good wash job. I like it. I'm all for it. It looks great. It makes sense to me that the character would do that. I was really excited to see that not only did they bring back, you know, Boba Fett at all, but you've got the same actor who played Jango Fett.
Yes.
Playing Fett, which makes all the sense in the world to me.
Absolutely.
See them stick with that.
It's the greater elements of the prequels that are being explored, and I'm totally okay with, because, you know, like the prequels have a bad taste in most people's mouths, but there's aspects of them that they got right and that are iconic. And Jango Fett, the whole history there, I like how he showed the Mandalorian the encoding. You know, they expanded on the suit too, its capabilities and all that, and you finally got to see the missile launch,
how
right?
awesome
Because
was that?
yeah, that was really cool. You go see that. That's my family tree basically, and he's shooting the missile, which I think correct me if I'm wrong, Jonah. The action figure is the only thing that could do that, right? Well, I'm sorry, the original action figure did until they
the original one that recalled or didn't release had that rocket firing backpack, which I think they took out because some kid, it wasn't even with that figure, it was a different toy, like some other, maybe Battlestar Galactica or some other rocket firing toy, like choked the kid out. And so they didn't end up releasing that one as far as I know. Yeah, it's a cool callback to what he was originally supposed to be able to do with that. You know, you hear from like fans and as a fan who's maybe read the comics or the books, you know what kind of a badass that Boba Fett is, but you never saw in the movie. The guy goes out like a punk, you know, in Return of the Jedi. And there was nothing in those movies at all that led us to believe he should be the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. Mm-hmm. And so it's good to see him actually be the badass that we were alluded to him being. So
absolutely.
Oh god, that fight scene was so freaking amazing.
Oh, all of it was.
When he's like twisting people around, and when he punches that stormtrooper and then uses some sort of rocket fire to like throw him through the air.
That's a hell of a scene.
Amazing.
Yeah, at the club he had when he burst the helmets, like, oh shit, that looks like it hurt.
I had seen a post somewhere, I don't remember where I saw it, that you'd mentioned the like the holographic family tree he pulled up.
Yeah. That
there was some fan out there had like took the time to decode all of those
all
of that message. I don't have that kind of time in the world, but to those that do, thank you for doing that work for us.
Yes, for sure. When he first flew down, I got Iron Man vibes, you know, from the first Iron Man movie. It just felt like that reveal, like that's like Iron Man to me. That was so badass. I loved all of it. It was awesome, and yeah, the episodes are really picking up now. I've liked every episode. But yeah, some of them were kind of slow burns, but I still enjoyed what I was seeing and everything. But yeah, these last few are really, I think like season 1, they pick up more as you get closer to the end.
This season, every episode has been better than the last, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this show brought a lot of us to Disney Plus, and I think they're finally, you know, I think COVID obviously delayed a lot of this from happening because I think, you know, like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, those were, I think, pretty well, probably weren't 100% done, but close to it. And I think they had planned to launch them sooner because I remember a year ago, it felt like it was coming down the pipeline, right? And so I think this you know, data dump Disney did this week, this is pretty much like, yeah, just keep Disney Plus. Like, you're going to get all the programs finally you wanted to see. And the films, they didn't necessarily announce all films were going to, you know, all new films were going to come directly through their service. So that remains to be known. Like, are they going to still try to go the theater route? I don't think Mulan worked out so well just because it was so much money. And I think it was a critical backlash, I guess. I haven't seen the film myself, but it's free now on Disney Plus. You just had to wait like 3 months.
My daughter didn't really care for it. She said the animated's way better.
They took out a lot of elements from the animation, didn't they? Didn't they try to make it more realistic, sort of?
I don't know. I haven't. Well, I know. Doesn't Eddie Murphy play a dragon in the?
Yeah, that's gone. They took that out. Yep.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So no Eddie Murphy.
Everything you loved, we took out. Pay us $30.
Of the reveals, especially like the Star Wars ones in particular, what are you guys most looking forward to?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I will say Rogue Squadron has kind of piqued my interest a lot. Just because Patty Jenkins is going to direct it, and I think we've always wanted to have that type of film. I just think it'd be really badass, like Top Gun in the sky or in space kind of feel. I have no idea. It's such early stages, but just her directing style, I think that could be something really special. And that was a nice teaser trailer they did of her. It caught me off guard at first because she was rollerblading. I was like, this is in the Star Wars universe? Like, what's going on?
Right.
It scared me. And And then she was talking about her father was a fighter pilot, and he lost his life serving our country, and just a really good connection, I think, to what she wants to do with this film. And I liked how she was secretly like changing into a rogue fighter pilot gear or whatever, and then started walking, and then there was an X-wing. Like, that was so badass to me. And maybe it's because it was a visual aid. The other ones are kind of just talked about, if you will, Yeah, Obi-Wan series, obviously we knew that was coming. Hayden Christensen coming back as Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker. I think that'll be super interesting. I think he's grown a lot as an actor. And like I was telling Jonah and Mitch before we recorded, I like a lot of the elements they're using from the prequels. The ones that worked, let's say, like
Yes.
the weapon Boba Fett uses in the latest episode of Mandalorian, that has a delayed sound to it. That's right out of, Attack of the Clones. Good callback there.
Is it?
Yes, it's actually Jonah's favorite weapon in the whole universe, correct?
Just the sound it makes.
Yes.
That sonic or seismic depth charge that
Yeah.
Yes.
on the back.
Yeah, that was an excellent callback there. But yeah, I think Hayden Christensen, I think he's going to... I don't know if I want to see Darth Vader without the mask. Unless they're just going to use his voice, I don't know how they're going to tackle that. And also, you got a sense, I did anyway, and I know because this has been written after the fact, but first Star Wars film, Obi-Wan was, he was out in the caves, right? And I guess he does have to have an adventure, right? You can't just make a series of him making coffee and just staring out into the sky and like, oh,
Well,
Luke's going to come one day. I can't wait to give him this lightsaber. That'd be boring. I'm sure they're going to have battle, or maybe it would be cool if they never shared the screen. And it's kind of like they're both kind of tracking each other. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You're going to get upset though, because it's going to be like 8 seasons of this. And you're going to be like, okay, when do they finally cross paths? And then they finally do in the last episode. And you're like,
the only reason why I don't want them to cross paths is because I think to connect it to the first Star Wars, it felt to me like once Anakin turned, that was it. They didn't see each other again. And then until they went to the Death Star. So that's why I was thinking, like, if they do it that way, then you can still believe in the original Obi-Wan concept, if you will. I don't know. What are you thinking about that, Jonah?
So I think there's a possibility for them to cross paths early on, maybe before, maybe right after Anakin becomes Darth Vader. Maybe they cross paths at that point, and there something has to lead Obi-Wan to know that Anakin is Darth, right?
Mm-hmm.
right.
Oh, you're right.
And so
you're right. He never saw him to become that. Saw him become that.
Right.
I forgot about that. That's a good point.
It'll be interesting to see how he makes that connection.
Yes.
And I'm assuming all that would probably happen, long before he's, strands himself on Tatooine.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and that's another question I have. James Earl Jones, he's getting up there, in age, and I want him to live forever, obviously. Are they going to use his voice? Are they able to... Is someone else able to use the voice, or will Hayden just be talking without the helmet? Maybe he'll be in his chamber thing. I don't know. It's just, it's just interesting how they're going to do that. I think what's nice about these series, maybe they can be standalone ones, or they can continue. I think the Obi-Wan will just be a limited series. It's not going to be like the Mandalorian, I believe. It's just kind of like we're going to hit these shows and then I guess just see where we go. I kind of like that, how they can just don't continue something because you have to have many seasons of a show, right? You just kind of like do the BBC thing. You focus on, you get your goal in storytelling, and then you can either stop there or pick it up again. And you can even pick it up again years later, if you will.
Well, and it makes sense, a lot of these shows, that it's going to be a finite, limited series, like with Andor. We know what happens to Andor, and it happens relatively quickly to him, becoming involved with everything.
Sure.
And so it makes sense because we know where his journey ends.
Right.
And of all the ones that we've got coming out, that's probably the one I'm least excited about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because something about that character was unlikable to me. And so I just, and maybe with the writing and kind of if we learn more of his backstory, I can like him a lot better. The ones I'm least excited about would be that one, and then the Ashoka series, just because of all things Star Wars, like the Jedi aspect of it is my least favorite.
Oh, really?
And so I'm most excited for like Rogue Squadron, because that was my favorite book series of, the Star Wars books, or even the comics I really dug from Dark Horse back in the day.
Sure.
So Rogue Squadron I'm probably most excited for. I mean, when I was a kid playing with Star Wars toys, I was playing a Rogue Squadron type story in my head or in my imagination, more so than anything with Jedis. Rangers of the New Republic, I hopefully that one's going to be good. And then I'm looking forward to learning more about like Bad Batch, the other one, The Acolyte, which I think I heard was supposed to be like a kind of a mystery thriller, which sounds promising. And then Lando, I've always dug that character, so I'm looking forward to that one.
And I don't think we know if Donald Glover is going to reprise that or not, do we? Did you see anything out there about him coming back? I assume he would, but I'm not sure. I think he did a good job in Solo. That was probably the highlight of that film. I still liked Solo, but yeah, definitely his character and his portrayal, it was pretty special. But yeah, I assume you would be foolish not to have him part of that show. Yeah, because some of these are just like very early stages of development. Children of Blood and Bone, that's going to be directed by Taika Waititi. It's based off a best-selling novel by Tommy Adime, I think that's how you say his name. I think a lot of these, like Rogue Squadron, for instance, that's based off, is it a novel or a comic book, Jonah? I didn't catch it.
It was a series of novels.
Sweet.
And then there was a series as well. So it also had a video game.
I like when they take the material from comics or a novel and they make that like their foundation for a series, if you will, instead of like trying to come up with something totally different. It satisfies the fans of that series of books, and also maybe new fans won't care, like they'll embrace it, right? So I like how seem like they're grounding it wisely, like the Mandalorian lore they explore in the show. Rangers of New Republic, I know the Knights of the Old Republic, that's a very popular concept. That's based off a book, I take it, right? I should know this, but I don't. I just know it's like ancient Jedis, pretty much, right?
I think it started out as a book series.
Jonah and I were talking about Star Trek. Kind of my annoyance with it right now. It doesn't seem to really give fans what they want, and Star Wars is definitely doing that, I think, with shows like this. Ahsoka, I loved Rosario Dawson, her take on the character. She was like born to play that character. That was a really cool episode of Mandalorian. I don't know a whole series, though, you could craft around her. Maybe you can. I know she's very popular in animation.
Yeah, if it's going to be her going after Grand Admiral Thrawn, that I would be excited to see.
Yeah,
because
that's probably what you do.
So with Rogue Squadron, I think the one disappointment I will have with that is if it does not feature heavily Wedge as the kind of the lead character, because I mean he was the biggest part of that, and he was one of those guys that always got kind of shortchanged in the movies. I think he had one line in The Last Jedi.
Well, just like Boba Fett, like I never really understood Boba Fett. Everyone was like, "Oh, he's such a badass," and all I ever saw was the films. I'm like, "Am I missing something?" Like I don't really see him doing anything badass. Just dies. But the Mandalorian makes up for it. They expand on the character. Even though he's an older version, you still... Well, actually, The Mandalorian takes place after Jedi, so he's not necessarily that much older. That's what's kind of hard to understand sometimes. The Mandalorian series is in the past compared to the new prequel or the new trilogy we got. So it's like right after Jedi. So he's probably just scarred up from the... where did he fall into? The pit. I always forget this.
Sarlacc pit?
Yes. So it's probably like just damage from that. I just like how they're able to take these characters and expand on them and just make you appreciate them more. So like, yeah, if you get shortchanged in a film, it's like, well, watch this episode or this series, and you'll get to know the character entirely, and then you'll appreciate the film more. You'll be like, that guy's a badass.
I'm more excited to see and watch Obi-Wan. I know you guys are maybe looking at others, but to me,
no, Obi-Wan's up there
would
for me too.
If they do a Lando, that's also going to be interesting because I don't know much about him, except for, he kind of stabbed Han Solo in the back a little bit. But other than that, yeah. Those are just a tad bit. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of the Judas of space. But yeah, no,
that's the subtitle for the show, Lando, the Judas of space.
I mean, short of kissing him on the cheek. I mean, so
kiss his lady on the cheek. That's what he did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was also in the movie The Ladies' Man and Colt 45. Highly requested him for all of his commercials. So
Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he was also Harvey Dent.
I know you got screwed out of the becoming Two-Face, man. That sucks. A little side note. That was the last Star Wars film. A lot of things didn't work for me, but I really was happy to see Lando back. Obviously, it was just great to see him back because I know he was at we had a Wizard Con here years ago. This is when the first episode dropped. Episode 7, I mean, not the first episode of Star Wars, the new trilogy. And a lot of people were asking him, like, hey, are you going to be in this new thing? What's going on? And his agent or representative said he wasn't being, no one contacted him. And I was just so bummed out by that. I was like, why wouldn't you bring him back too? And they finally did. And that was a treat. And yeah, it'll be interesting to know if this Lando series will go in the past and present. I don't know if they'll try to include Billy D. Williams. I'm not sure. I don't know. I just hope it's worthy of a series, like what can you do with this character? I'm sure, Jonah, you know a lot more about what his run-ins and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of story out there they could explore.
Yeah, there was a cool, I think it was a book called Scoundrels that featured him and Han Solo together, which was pretty cool. I had only read it once years and years ago, but that was good. Of all the reveals, the one that I keep hoping for, and I don't know that it's ever going to come, would be a Shadows of the Empire miniseries or movie,
right?
Because that was a huge thing for me as a young teenager Star Wars fan who was itching for like the next big Star Wars thing, and that was huge for everybody. I mean, that between the book, the video game, the toy line, it was like a marketing juggernaut, and it's been forgotten at this point. But I really want to see, Dash Rendar, and I want to see the Outrider kind of on the screen. So
did it expand upon the Empire post Jedi or during the whole?
Shadows of the Empire takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Oh, cool. That's a nice time frame.
It features the Empire a little bit, but it kind of goes off on a side quest for Leia and Chewie and Lando and they come across this Han Solo, type character named Dash Rendar, and but it's largely trying to rescue Han from Jabba.
Oh, sure,
is part of it. So
yeah, that'll be super interesting to. Yeah, I mean that kind of brings up another thing. Would you be against them? In order to tell more stories, let's say, a lot of people are hoping for. I kind of like this fan casting. Speaking of Marvel and all, Sebastian Stan, they thought he would be a great young Luke Skywalker. If you wanted to bring him into a Mandalorian series or whatnot. Are you guys against them recasting like Leia? And so obviously because of age and they're not all here anymore. What do you feel about that possibility?
No, I say recast them. I think that they totally should, especially if they're playing, younger, these younger roles. I'm all for it. And you mentioned it. Donald Glover was a really good example of how well that can work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it worked as well with Han Solo himself. I mean, just something about that actor didn't click with me.
Sure.
But I think Donald Glover did a superb job as a young Lando. And so if you can find more talent like that, go for it.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. What about you, Mitch?
Thinking about it, what age were they when we first met them? Were they teenagers or
late
no?
20s, early 30s probably? I think Harrison Ford was 35.
Leia was like a 19 or 20, something like that.
Oh, that's right. She was pretty young.
Okay. Has Carrie Fisher's daughter ever acted?
Yeah,
I mean, I know
she's
that
been
she
in
had,
every.
like, some small parts.
Yeah, she's been in a lot of stuff actually. She was in each one of the new trilogy films. She doesn't really
Okay.
look like
So,
her entirely, but I guess they could make it work if they wanted to do that.
no, so you find people that are close, and maybe to pay homage, you cast her daughter as Leia, right?
Yeah,
To kind of pay homage in that
you could
respect.
probably do that.
And then you tap Sebastian Stan to play Luke because he's pretty darn
That's
close.
perfect casting. I just
Right? I mean,
wow.
if they're good actors and actresses, I don't know much. I would presume, because I know that she's been in a couple parts, but to me it's always seemed like really like small snippets.
Mm-hmm.
But they were indiscernible from like another actor or actress.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
to me,
right.
it would probably work. I don't see why it couldn't.
Well, and I wasn't really against, and I know it was probably too soon, but it's the whole like Heath Ledger Joker thing. I was fine with them like for the next film recasting if they wanted to do the character again, use the character again. And so when Carrie Fisher passed away, and then we had the Rise of Skywalker come out, I was kind of like not against them recasting just because of the circumstances. It wasn't like, oh, she wanted too much money. It's like she's not here anymore, and I don't think everyone wants her character to just die. Maybe some do, just because the actress isn't the same, but I wouldn't be against it just for storytelling's sake, like, you know. So I think what would be nice about the possibility of Sebastian Stan, and obviously I think it's mostly just fan casting right now, but I'm sure Disney's listening. I think we always wanted to see Luke utilize his full potential, like kicking ass, right? And I think The Last Jedi.
Can we finally admit that George Lucas is horrible at fight scenes? I mean, with all the stuff that's coming out, and The Mandalorian, and finally seeing Boba Fett actually do something, I don't think George Lucas he's great imagining things like a grand scale story. I mean, just wonderful and all that other stuff. But like, if you watch some of his movies where there's a fight scene, it's a couple punches and then, ooh, I'm down, I get sucker punched or something. And then,
Well, it's also the time they were made too, kind of, I think, in a way,
true.
because the original trilogy, he only directed the first one. So he had help with the other, and I think, he had other directors for the follow-up ones, but the choreography and everything, things have changed over years. People are more, they're tired of that, and they want more action-packed, and I think it's just a style. But yeah, I mean, it could have been some of his direction too, surely. I mean, originally the lightsaber was supposed to be so heavy, you had to have two hands to hold it, and that kind of frustrated Mark Hamill because he's like, oh, I could do so many cool things with just like one hand, and he's like, no, these things are super heavy. Come the prequels, and they're throwing them around like none other, and it's kind of like, what the hell, George? It's like, why don't you just listen to me? Yeah, if you hear, there's a cool story about Mark Hamill when he was returning to Luke as Return of the Jedi. He was like living in Japan, and he was seeing a lot of the style over there. And I guess Mohawks were in, and he kind of had an idea to have like Luke come back in a Mohawk for the third one or something. And I think that would have been kind of cool instead of the bowl cut, he got. But there was just some cool ideas they could have explored there. But the idea of bringing Sebastian Stan in, because I think a lot of people were obviously let down by The Last Jedi for many reasons, and there's fans of it, of course. I like it. There's aspects of it I don't like, but I kind of like what they did with Luke, but also I wanted him to, it's like the characters we loved never came back and did what we wanted them to do. And I think that's what The Mandalorian has taken up, when that has lacked for those movies, like Han Solo dies in the first one. Carrie or Leia gets to do some force, but it's kind of like out of nowhere. And then, Luke, he just kind of, he did a badass thing before he died, but I wanted him to just come out of his isolation state and rejoin them, get a haircut and all that, maybe trim the beard up a little bit and just look like a badass, I know Hamill's like in his 60s, so, can't expect too much, but I think we would love to see Sebastian Stan or someone who looks like Luke just to be fully realized, if you will, in live action. Like, you get to see him do more things. Like, there's more story there versus, if you're hung up on the recast thing, obviously they've done it with other characters. I think it's just a matter of time, but I think that's a way for you to get them to pop up in these shows, right? Like here and there. They don't have to be the center of the show, but just kind of like, here's a little treat for you. And if you like it that much, maybe we'll expand upon it. That's just my thoughts. What do you think, Jonah? You liking the idea of Sebastian Stan, if that's a reality?
It happens, that'd be cool. He's a good actor. He's cool as the Winter Soldier. I'm excited to see the new series with him and the Falcon.
Yes.
And I think Billie Lourd's a great choice to same character that her mom played.
Yeah.
And she's the right age to play that younger Leia. They wanted to fill in some things after Return of the Jedi. I think she looks enough like a young Leia. And I know she was so forgettable and very cardboard in the new trilogy movies. I don't think that's her fault necessarily.
No.
The other things that she's been in, American Horror Story or Scream Queens. So yeah, I think she'd be a good choice to play young Leia. So like I said, I'm all for it.
I think that's great too. I think it's up to the fans, right? It's like they almost have to do a poll, like, hey, do you want us to continue these characters and you just get over the recasting, or do you just want us to kill these characters and that's it? There's no more to talk about. I know real briefly here, we're gonna get into Marvel stuff. They're talking about T'Challa won't be recast for Black Panther 2. So I guess they're, obviously Chadwick Boseman, he passed away. It's very sad, unexpected. What a great role to, have for your career. It's a high point for sure. But yeah, they aren't going to recast him. So that means they're going to give us a new Black Panther possibly. I'm not quite sure, but real quick, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Do you think they should just, it's kind of like the Heath Ledger thing. I don't get hung up on it too much. Like, they brought something apart, but I think that character's so much bigger than just the actor. You want to see more of it. And so I think it's like, yeah, it's a hard decision. But again, do you want to see more of this character, or do you want us to just kill it off with the actor just because of that? Can you get over the recast, if you will? But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the T'Challa thing?
I think that they've got enough to work with between either using Michael B. Jordan or is it Letitia Wright that played Suri, his sister?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
I think between one of them, they've got enough that they could really put together a good sequel and continue the story, even though it's not necessarily T'Challa's story, maybe more continuing on his legacy.
Sure.
And so I'm hopefully optimistic that they'll be able to do something good there and not have to recast. And I'm assuming all this stuff's going to get reboot, 20 years down the road anyway. He'll get recast eventually, I'm sure. But
right. Well, that's what's unique about Marvel, right? They're continuing to build their universe, expand upon it, bring in new characters. Obviously, yeah, they probably will reboot eventually. Maybe they'll even write it into the universe, like, an explosion happens and just kind of causes a ripple effect, if you will. Because I could see them just continuing with this. Like, we'll get into it. There's so much expansion here. It's nuts. It's like a dream come true. But yeah, with and
if they were to ever recast it, and I know I shat on the movie before, but my vote would go to John David Washington from Tenet.
Dude, yes.
Character, because we're saying that, and my wife actually thought it was the same actor. She's like, "That's the same guy from Black Panther, right?" I'm like, "No." But I think he could pull it off if they were to decide to recast it at some point.
Yeah, so, I agree. Yeah,
they're similar, and he's a good actor. So.
When I heard about that, I was like, yes, you have to do that. You have to do that. You can still honor the late actor at the same time. Michael B. Jordan, that would be super interesting. But how would you explain it, or would you just not explain it and just like, he's just a great actor, we're gonna use him, even though he was the villain in the first film?
It'd be more like, I think it'd be his. They could turn it into like his redemption story. He wasn't necessarily bad; he was just misunderstood, and so it's kind of like, his redemption story.
He was just messed up, by circumstances. Yeah. What do you think, Mitch?
It's tough. If he was an okay actor, and it was just like the first movie, and because look at War Machine, upgrading to John.
They did it right
Don
away.
Cheadle. Yeah, upgrading to Don Cheadle made that character better. if Black Panther didn't do so well and Chadwick Boseman wasn't as good of an actor, I'd be okay with it. I'm more happy that they're not now. I think he did a great service, and I think that needs to remain as such. So I think they need to pass the torch. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's what they're gonna do most likely. Just get a different character. I hope they don't. And I don't know. I'm assuming they haven't released too much about it. It's still early talks to what they're doing. I mean, they didn't even know he was sick. Chadwick, and I don't know if they're just gonna make T'Challa, get married and just go live off.
I believe they're gonna make him die off screen, is what I've heard so far.
Okay.
Is that he's gonna fight a battle and not make it through.
Yeah, just kind
so
of.
they're gonna be kind of without a king.
Again, it's like the character's so much bigger. I think I think it's kind of a disservice, just because. I mean, look how many comic books and stories there are on that character alone, just like the Joker, and that's just kind of
right.
I'm torn. I get being honorable for his memory and stuff, but I don't know if he would have liked that. I don't know the guy obviously, but to me he comes off as a type is like, no, you just continue it on. Take the ball, and you can play this part. Like, I'm not going to be like,
well,
pissed.
I think we all knew that he probably would have, but and in comics they make really weird decisions sometimes, and sometimes they'll just go off the wall and kill off a character or make somebody else Batman or make somebody else Captain America, and what it is, and so we don't we maybe scoff at it for a second and then that's it. And,
sure.
And that'll probably happen here, and it'll be just fine.
I mean, this is all entertainment, so it's not like the end of the world or anything, but I just wish they would have continued on with the character. But there's so much more they can, or they can create a whole new character. Who knows what they're going to do? It's so early right now in talks, but I see them honoring that for sure. More news from Disney was they're going to have their mature content be placed under Star, which will be integrated into Disney Plus. So that's where all their R-rated content will go. Mostly their Fox content, I believe. So there'll be a section, I believe, in Disney Plus called Star. You go there and you get to see all that goodness of Fox, Die Hard and all that stuff. So that was something they just released. So it's going to take some time, but that's how they're going to handle that. Deadpool, cool. That's another one I will go under there. They released a trailer to the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Emilio Estevez come back for that series. Basically, the Ducks have become kind of like the Hawks in a way. No longer the underdogs. Laura Graham is also in this show. She teams up with Bombay to create a new underdog team, if you will. So I think that'd be kind of cool. I can introduce my kids to it. I mean, they've seen the original Mighty Ducks movies, so I think that's kind of a cool way to do it. Kind of like a Cobra Kai, in a way.
I keep trying to get my kids to watch the original Mighty Ducks, and they're like, oh, it's old. I'm like, on.
Crack Attack is back. Are you excited about that show?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm sure they're going to have some cameos.
Yes. From
the original.
Yep.
So, Yep. No, that'll be fun.
Well, and Goldberg's cleaning up, man. He's sober and he looks great. He got new teeth, and it's like, I'm happy. I'm like, I was really bummed when, he just looked like such an old man when he got busted,
Right.
And I think that could come eventually. He could come on. But I think they are bringing some of the old stars on, which I think that's great. Just pepper them through the show. You get the old fans interested. So, I mean, it's... I think it's going to be pretty cool. I hope so. Lightyear is also something else they're going to be doing. Kind of a controversial thing. Tim Allen's always voiced Buzz Lightyear, I think, for the most part. Maybe the animation series he didn't. But it looks like Chris Evans is going to take over as the voice. And the reason is this is like an origin tale. It kind of shows how the character inspired a toy to be created. Kind of like the actual Lightyear in a way. I don't know. It's an animation series, obviously, but... I don't know. I'm not too bummed about the change. I think Chris Evans got a great voice. Kind of bummed they didn't do Tim Allen, but Tim Allen's older, so maybe it kind of sounds older now. Maybe he didn't want anything to do with it. I don't know, but there's a little uproar about that. But to me, the way they're doing it, I think it's okay. It's not like it's the actual Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. You know, it's a different type of Buzz Lightyear. So not too bummed out about that. Sister Act 3, guys. I know you've been waiting for this forever. But yeah, Whoopi's back, and Tyler Perry will be producing that. So that's pretty. I think that'd be pretty cool. I like the first one. I haven't seen it for a while. It's on Disney Plus, if you will. Hocus Pocus 2. That's a lot of people have been wanting that forever. Classic 1993 film. Disenchanted. That's the sequel to Enchanted, which they probably should have made 10 years ago, but that'll be cool. There's a lot of good content, you know, for kids and stuff, and us adult kids, if you will. I don't know. Were you guys Enchanted fans? I liked it. I thought it was cool. It's kind of like a joke.
Which one was that's the one with Amy Adams?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, I never saw it.
It's just a twist on Sleeping Beauty, I believe. I think it was. So yeah, it was good casting, and yeah, I think that was a cool film. I'm kind of surprised they didn't make a sequel until now. But yeah, whenever the pandemic's over, of course.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of who was it. Who was the love interest in that? Was it James Marsden?
No, it was. Oh yeah, yes, he was. He was Prince Charming from the animated reality. But it was Patrick Dempsey in the real world she fell in love with.
Right. James Marsden was like hilarious in that movie. If
yes,
I remember.
Yeah, he's like kind of the go-to sidekick character in a way, like Sonic. You know, he did that with Sonic, and remember Hop? Oh, he was really good in that. Yeah, it's nice to see him grow so much since he played Cyclops in X-Men. So yeah, maybe he needs a series. That'd be cool. Probably not with the MCU though. They're rebooting everything.
So are you guys excited for Willow?
Yes. Val Kilmer won't be back, so
no Val Kilmer, or probably no Joe. I mean, other than John Chu being attached to it, I'm looking forward to it. But him being on it, he's already shat on two of my childhood loves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, G.I. Joe, when he directed.
Oh, yeah.
And then Gem, which could have been cool.
It's like, let's do Gem and holograms without a budget. All right, I got an idea. She's just an ordinary girl.
Yeah.
Which I heard is like alone. If you're not a fan or know of the character, I think they said it's a pretty good film. But if you're like into the character and all that, it's not. It doesn't give you anything that you want.
Yeah, if you liked Gem and the Holograms, no. If you liked Britney Spears' Crossroads, you'll be okay.
There you go. There you go.
Oh man,
the critic has spoken.
Like a surefire winner.
I love Crossroads. What?
Other than him directing the pilot, which I think it's just the first episode that he signed on to direct. Other than that, I'm looking forward to it.
They also got Pinocchio coming out. I didn't know they were making this like live action. Tom Hanks is going to be in it, and it's directed by Robert Zemeckis. That might be kind of cool. I don't know. Maybe Tom Hanks will play every character like he did in Polar Express. I don't know what they're doing, but
oh boy,
I don't know. I think it'll be good, but yeah, that reminds me. Benicio not Del Toro. Shit, who's the director? That's the actor. Shit.
Guillermo del Toro?
Yes. I always get those two mixed up because the name. He's making like a dark ass Pinocchio movie. I don't know if you've seen it. I think there's a trailer for it. I haven't seen it yet, but it's freaking dark. Like, yeah, it's live action, and he's like,
well, and it should be because that story is scary as shit. I mean,
it's true. Before Disney got hold of it, yeah.
I mean, it's not a feel good story.
Yeah.
It gets dark. Even the animated original got like really dark.
True.
And I recall like inducing nightmares when they start turning into like donkeys and getting swallowed by whales.
Isn't there like prostitutes in it too or something? Like they're like, oh, come here, cutie, or something like that. I thought I remember he was like, you know, on a street or something, and maybe I'm remembering a different movie. I don't know. I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me as well, but I definitely would check out anything Guillermo del Toro does. So. Well,
yeah, and this Disney Tom Hanks one might be interesting. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know. I think Robert Zemeckis has lost his touch, though. Not to say, I saw The Witches, you know, the remake they did, and he directed it, and I just didn't feel like it was. I don't know. Maybe he just didn't like the project. Maybe he'll love this Pinocchio instead. I don't know. Yeah, some of these old directors just aren't really doing it anymore.
He directed the New Witches that
Yeah.
that people were kind of like up in arms about.
Yeah, and it just didn't feel like, I don't know. It definitely did. It definitely felt like a movie that shouldn't have been in theaters. I don't know if that was their plan, just to go directly to streaming, but I was just like, this just doesn't feel like a Robert Zemeckis film. It just didn't feel very spectacular. Just kind of a watered down remake, in my opinion. I think my kids liked it, but yeah, I was just kind of like, ugh.
I think it's one of those where even the original Witches movie holds up today. It's one of those that didn't need to be.
Yeah.
I don't know why you keep insisting on remaking movies that don't need to be remade.
I know the new one is more close to the book. Yeah, the old one's still like, why would you? Why didn't it make a sequel? I mean, just reboot stuff that didn't work. Like, there was cool things about it. Well, kind of like what they're doing with.
That would be every 80s horror movie ever.
Well, there you go. There you go. Have you ever seen Mary Poppins was successful, obviously, but have you ever seen the dark take on a Mary Poppins movie? They did a trailer.
No.
They made it like a horror film. Freaking works.
That's awesome.
Check it out. YouTube it. It's creepy. Like, they really did a good job. There's all kinds of trailers out there. They like make a horror movie into a comedy and stuff.
Did they use scenes from the original Mary Poppins?
Yes.
Or from the...
Yeah, and they dimmed it. They like made it darker, and then I think they sped up some footage and just played around with it. It's so effective. It's like, it's so crazy. It's like, oh my God, this looks terrifying. Yeah, that's cool. You gotta love the fans who have time on their hands. That's for sure. And they also got Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers live action film, I believe. John Mulaney and Adam Sandberg will be voicing the characters. I don't know if they're going to use motion cap. Hopefully they won't pull a Cats, and make them look like chipmunks. Oh God, they might. I don't know.
Or do they make those two animated, but everybody else live action, real?
Yeah, that's such an old trope, isn't it? Like,
I just say like what they're doing with Tom and Jerry. That's coming up.
Yeah, I know. I made a joke on their page like, this hasn't been done before. Just look at the Smurfs, look at Sonic, Brocky and Bullwinkle. That maybe they started it. Of course, you got Roger Rabbit. That predates that.
Like, not only is it something that they do all the time, but how often is it like successfully done?
Right.
Like, I mean, how good are most of these projects? Like, I never saw Sonic, but I mean, come on, the Smurfs was not good.
They went back for more. Like, I think the first one, I think it was obviously was received well enough, so they made a second one. I think the first one was all right. I'm not a huge Smurfs fan. Sonic, I think, would have definitely flopped if they hadn't redid Sonic himself. He was very human-like.
And
is
this with the chipmunks that they're doing? Is it going to be just like regular chipmunks, or are they doing the whole Rescue Rangers thing?
Well, it's gonna be Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. I don't know what the hell. Watch. They'll actually be just two dudes named Chip and Dale. There's no animals. It's just them dressed up like the characters.
Dressed up like Indiana Jones and Magnum PI.
Yes. Yeah. By the way, who finally caught that? Like, I never noticed that until it was pointed out to me. I was like, oh my God, how did I not see that? Yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens there. I don't know. Maybe they'll just put a shirt on saying I'm Chip and I'm Dale. From the Marvel front, we got WandaVision. They finally released a trailer and went more in depth. That show looks nuts to me. I'm really interested, though. I think it's... I'm more excited about that than any of these other shows right now, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I haven't seen the trailer yet for it. I'll have to check it out because I don't like Wanda or Vision as characters.
Oh.
So I didn't really have it in it. But if the trailer's good, for Falcon and Winter Soldier, which looks good, and then he is the one that I'm excited for because that one looks pretty crazy too. Tom Hiddleston's so good as Loki.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Loki and WandaVision are very similar to me just because they're all exploring like tropes from, various properties growing up, like television properties, movie properties. There's like a D.B. Cooper reference, I guess, in the Loki trailer where he's cleaned up at the end. He's on the airplane and he jumps out. They're talking about like that's a D.B. Cooper thing. He's like running for office. Looks like one scene where it's like set in the 70s or something. Like it's all over the place. Like in Owen Wilson shows up in the in the Loki trailer. I was like, whoa, that's Owen Wilson. He got a haircut and it looks different, man. It's far out.
I've seen WandaVision. I'm not sure what to make of it yet, so I'm going to give it a chance. Loki seems really interesting and almost seems time travel-y. I did like the DB Cooper nod. That was really cool. So we'll see. I don't think we're getting a full picture, but it'll be very interesting to see what it's all about.
Of course, they're all bringing back characters we know. WandaVision's going to have Randall Park. He played the FBI agent in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Kat Dennings, she was in Thor and Thor 2. Show picks up after Endgame, just kind of like Loki does. Wanda and Vision are living in a suburban lifestyle. It's like Pleasantville-like, sort of. There's a variety of TV evolution going on. And yeah, obviously things aren't what they seem. Like they're in an alternate reality. And this perhaps sets up the new Doctor Strange film, The Multiverse of Madness.
Going to tie into the next Spider-Man movie, too.
Yes, yeah. So I think WandaVision actually is going to introduce all of this stuff, this ripple effect, if you will. So yeah, it'll affect the next Doctor Strange film, Spider-Man 3. You got everyone coming back for that. So far, it seems they did confirm Alfred Molina coming back and Jamie Foxx. Molina played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. And Jamie Foxx, Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No need to bring that back, but whatever.
Right.
You know what? I bet they change his look up. They'll probably work out the bugs there. There was some cool potential, though. But
it might just be like a super brief cameo, too. I mean, who knows?
It could. There's a fun joke going around, like, so-and-so's in Spider-Man 3. You know, it's like, we're in Spider-Man 3. Like, everybody's in Spider-Man 3. Yeah, they're talking about Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Andrew Garfield coming back. Even Benedict Cumberbatch will be in there as Doctor Strange. Sam Raimi is directing the second Doctor Strange film, so could have played a hand into bringing the other Spider-Man back, at least Tobey Maguire, let's say. Wanda looks great. I'm looking forward to that because I wanted Vision back in Endgame, and maybe this is a way they'll bring him back. You know, I don't know if it's all in her head, what's going on, but if you look at the trailer, this reality is affecting other people too. And it brings in people outside of this like suburban neighborhood they live in. So it's like a culmination of things. It's bonkers, but I think it's gonna be pretty damn cool. And yeah, Loki's all over the place, which, you know, that's Loki for you. Like the minute they set that up in Endgame when he grabbed the Tesseract and created like a new timeline, if you will, you know, that was a really clever way to do it. You know, you still got the Loki death scene, but he's still alive in the past. It's like super confusing, but it's gonna be pretty damn cool. And of course, they got the Hawkeye series that's gonna have Haley Steinfeld playing Kate Bishop, who's like Jeremy Renner's character. Hawkeye trains to kind of take up the mantle. I guess it's from the comic. He's lost his hearing or is losing his hearing. So yeah, it's like a passing of the torch for that show. Falcon and Winter Soldier looks great. They're bringing back a lot of characters. We know Emily Van Camp. She played Sheridan Carter. And Daniel Bruhl, is that how you say his name? He plays Zemo. He's going to actually have his mask, finally.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see Kurt Russell's son as a U.S. agent.
Yes.
Yeah.
The character is like a dickhead, but I've always been a U.S. agent fan. I think probably because he's an asshole.
He's like the new Captain America, sort of, right? He takes, like, the government kind of wants him instead of...
Yeah, he's kind of like the gut version of Captain America. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They don't want Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, they'll explain, I guess, but obviously they're not happy with that. Steve passing the torch to them. So many more series coming. Secret Invasion. Yep. That's a series of, you know, the Skrulls they impersonate and replace some of our heroes. And that's going to have Samuel L. Jackson in it and Ben Mendelsohn, who played Talos in Captain Marvel. They have great chemistry. Maybe they'll de-age Sam Jackson for that show. I don't know what time period it takes place in. Ironheart, that was the next Iron Man after Tony Stark, if you will. Iron Woman in this case. Riri Williams, she is Ironheart. She's like a 15-year-old MIT student. Maybe they'll bring back Robert Downey Jr. as the AI, Tony. I think that'd be pretty cool. And he wouldn't have to really do much, right? He just talk. He's good at that. They're also going to have Armor Wars. That's going to feature Don Cheadle as War Machine, and I guess that series is based on James Rhodes in this case facing Tony's fears of his tech getting stolen. It's a lot of Iron Man 2 callbacks, in my opinion. Like, hopefully they'll include Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer. They did for that one Marvel short, show Justin Hammer again, and I thought that was pretty cool. The way they're bringing back all these other characters we know, I think they could definitely do that. But I think Armor Wars sounds really exciting to me.
Did you ever read that comic arc?
I never did.
Well, no, with Armor Wars, so Tony Stark, his technology started falling into other people's hands.
Yeah.
And so then he goes after to reclaim it all again, but he goes up against the guard, what's the Crimson Dynamo, who was a Russian, and things like that. It's pretty cool. It's a cool story from back in the day.
We also got She-Hulk. There's a development there. We've talked about She-Hulk on the show before. Mark Ruffalo is confirmed to be back, and Tim Roth is coming back as Abomination, which I'm excited because we haven't seen his character since The Incredible Hulk, which was back in 2008. So it's like the second Marvel film, Marvel studio film, if you will. So I love them bringing him back. Looks like Thor: Love and Thunder, Christian Bale's character has been confirmed as Gore, the God Butcher.
I think that'll be pretty cool. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, it's pretty neat that the Batman is in the Marvel universe. He can play a villain pretty well. Earlier in his career, he definitely was a villain in a lot of things. He'll knock that out of the park. And you got Natalie Portman, of course, and then Jamie Alexander's coming back as Lady Sif. I'm excited about that. She was missing from Ragnarok, but I'm glad she wasn't in it because they probably would have just killed her like the Warrior 3, which really pissed me off. Just how they went out, it was just yeah, they could have done more with those. So maybe they'll bring him back somehow in Loki. I don't know. Of course, Marvel also has the rights to Fantastic Four. That's coming. Blade.
Do a movie commentary on Fantastic Four.
Yes.
Oh, we should.
Yes.
But the original Corman one.
Oh, the Corman one? Yeah.
Yes.
We should. And I like to do the Josh Trank one. I could even do the one in the middle. But yeah, the Corman.
Was that the newest one?
Yeah, the Josh Trank one. Yeah. There's aspects of it I enjoyed. I think it's on. I think it might be on Disney Plus. If you go look it up in Marvel, I think they're both there. The Tim Story one and the Josh Trank one. There was aspects about it I liked a lot more. They made it kind of more of a horror fantasy sort of. Some of it didn't work, obviously, and there's some behind-the-scenes drama, which never works out, it seems, in these films. It's an industry I don't understand entirely. A lot of us don't. Probably even people who are in it. Disney also announced, because they own everything now. FX is one of them. They're having an Alien series from Noah Hawley, who did Fargo and Legion. Ridley Scott's going to executive produce that. And it's, I guess, set on Earth this time in the not-so-distant future, based off the 6-film franchise. Are you big Alien fans? I'm kind of up in the air.
I'm interested to see what they do with it, because I think that Ridley Scott kind of muddled some things up, story-wise goes and continuity-wise, with Prometheus and Covenant, and so it'll be interesting to see if they kind of try and retcon that or work it in somehow, or maybe make more sense of it. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with it. I like the franchise. There's aspects of movies that I enjoyed, but at the same time, a lot of it just kind of left me with more questions than answers. And it was one of those where I think there was some sort of supplemental material to Covenant that explained aspects of it. And I don't like that, where I have to go searching for different media to understand what I had just watched.
I understand that entirely. Yeah, I think a series might be the best for it, just so you can expand it more and just do it kind of like what Disney's or the Marvel properties are doing. What about you, Mitch? Are you a big Aliens fan?
I never got into it. I was too young, and parents never let me watch it growing up. So,
sure.
I mean, I saw Prometheus, and I thought that was a great movie. I've never seen any of the Alien movies, though. Not to say that they're bad movies, because I've never seen them. I have heard that they are good, and
I find that highly surprising you've never seen any of the Aliens movies, because I definitely think they're all, well, okay, skip Resurrection, but even Alien 3 has its merits, especially being David's first film, and you can kind of see, it's just fun to see how he's transformed as a director. Aliens, the sequel, is one of my all-time favorites. I love that movie.
Well, I'll have to give it a shot now. I mean, I just need to find time now to watch them. But yeah, I don't know why I haven't. I guess I just haven't. No rhyme or reason per se, except for when they came out, my parents wouldn't let me watch them because they were rated R. But
Right.
yeah, no, I'll give them a watch.
Yeah, the first one and the second one are definitely worth it, I think. And then, go on from there if you'd like. But yeah, those first two are pretty solid. Even the first one on its own, it set up everything. Two is such a different film, though. It's...
Oh, yeah. The first one's like space horror sci-fi movie, but it was much more horror influenced than anything else. The second one was a James Cameron action film. So it had kind of a totally different feel to it, but it worked. It still worked well as a follow-up.
Move the franchise forward, that's for sure. We broke news, I think, last episode. Wonder Woman 84 was coming out on HBO Max Christmas Day. Well, it looks like the whole 2021 Warner Brothers slate is going to be on HBO Max, which is awesome, but kind of sad at the same time because I'm a big theater fan. I think all of us here are, and, I worry about their future. So it's just kind of like a double-edged sword in a way, With the pandemic, I'm probably not going to go out and see it. I know, Mitch, you've been to a theater, and I've heard, from all accounts I've heard, they have great precautions for, keeping people away and all that stuff. So it's pretty safe.
They have sprays that they spray down each seat with, and they wipe them down too. And working in the limo industry, we have to, after every trip, we have to really scrub down the vehicles and all that stuff. So, I mean, I know that it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly believe that if a company still wants to maintain business or stay open, that they have to do this stuff. So, follow the guidelines that the company has, and you'll be just fine. Going to a movie theater doesn't bother me. The experience I miss wholeheartedly. And while it's nice to have that ability to watch it at home, if it's a movie that requires, or I feel it's kind of like you need to see it on big screen or something like that, I'll go.
Right.
But if it's something, if it's something where I can watch it at home, then I'll watch it at home. So
there are some movies where it's not even, it's the experience, like, especially with stuff that Warner Brothers has coming out next year, like Dune, Godzilla vs. King Kong,
Yeah.
Like that movie, those are made for the big screen.
I know.
And you can watch them at home on your, I mean, even if you've got a big TV, it's not the same as a 60-foot, wall that you're watching it on. So while I'm kind of torn on this because
me too. I
like the convenience of being able to stay home and watch movies at home. But there are still movies that I like to go into the theater and see. And I still go to the theater. I was at a movie theater just a couple weeks back with my son, and it was fine. And we felt safe. There's us and two other people in the entire auditorium anyway. And so it's easy to stay apart. And I think sadly that was Flicks, and then they ended up like closing back down just a couple of days afterward for pandemic reasons. But I still like, there's still movies that I'm going to go to the theater to watch. I was not planning on going to see Wonder Woman in the theater, so I'm excited that one's going to be coming to HBO Max. I can watch it after Christmas Day. But there's other movies that I will still try to go to the theater to see. Sure. If it's going to be playing on HBO Max.
Well, and I could see myself going to the theater if I don't eat anything. I just feel like if I ever expose my mouth, I'm just, it's just me, because I'm still trying to navigate in this crazy pandemic world we're living in. But I love the theater experience, and it scares me that they could go away and possibly be owned by studios, so then you have that kind of monopoly in a way.
Wasn't it like that before?
Well,
where some movie theaters were owned by actual theater companies, though?
I think they've always kind of been their own thing, like, Flicks Brewhouse, AMC, Fridley here. They've had a relationship with the studios, but I don't think the studios ever... I don't think any studio owns it. I could be wrong, but to my knowledge, they don't. But that's a risk that could happen if these other ones go belly up. They'll just be bought out by, like a studio, and then they'll be very corporated, in a way. So things will change, I think, for the worse, because I still think they should be a separate entity, if you will. What troubles me is, like, after this pandemic, it's like everything was going to come back. big time. And it's like, they just got to hang in there, they just need to get assistance, and a lot of them are. So I hope that they can withstand for the time being. I desperately want to go back to the theaters, and I think you always going to need that experience. Same with physical media. If your internet sucks, you're not going to have a great time, watching everything, and it's not going to look great. I do like streaming, but it does have its downfalls, especially if you're kind of like a movie connoisseur in a way. You want it to look the best, sound the best. So unfortunately, it's not quite there yet. But obviously, if that's all I have, then I'll utilize it. But yeah, it is weird with this movie slate. They're all going to go to HBO Max. So like Matrix 4 is one of them, which I'm not really excited about. I kind of think that's been one and done. I think the first one was the best. I don't really like to think about the other ones. The Animatrix was interesting, but
they should have stopped after the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have never been a trilogy.
Totally agree. Even though they said, it was all planned out, like kind of like Lucas said about Star Wars. Like, I don't know, guys, if it was really planned out. I think maybe you need to develop the ideas more. Yeah, that first one, I just don't think they can top anything anymore. Like the Matrix 4, I just think so much has come out since they ended that franchise. I don't get it. I don't get why we're coming back. I just think it.
Well, I said that about John Wick, and look at how each time he impresses me more.
Yeah, well, he looks like John Wick in the film. That's probably the other problem, It's like, dude, shave and look different. It's like Bruce Willis. He always looks the same. Obviously, he's bald, but it's like, throw a wig on or something. He just always looked like the same character. Change it up, man.
Right.
Grow a mustache or something.
Did try to change his look up. He just looked weird because what was the movie where he had Fifth Element, he had blonde hair.
Yeah,
and that looked off.
He was still holding on to his hair at that time, I think.
Yeah, Mercury Right. He tried to have hair in that, and that looked weird. He needs to stick with his bald look.
Last time he did something interesting with his look was Looper, I thought, because I think he actually grew his hair out for that one and a beard and stuff. I haven't seen that for a while, but I know he looked a little different, I think, in that film. I was digging that. I was like, finally, he looks like a different character. we can go with this. You're gonna have Space Jam: New Legacy, The Suicide Squad, Mortal Kombat, like all these films. It's just crazy. There's several more I'm not mentioning. There's just so much to talk about. But obviously, some are on board. Patty Jenkins, the director of Wonder Woman, she's totally fine with this direction. They've chosen other directors of Dune, Denis Villeneuve, I think that's how you say his name. I'm terrible with names. Christopher Nolan, they're not happy with this decision. When it comes down to it, it's a business decision. AT&T also is owned by Warner Brothers, I believe, or vice versa. So there's all kinds of aspects of that decision with them, and the filmmakers are up in arms about it because it's you craft something, you want it to be received in its greatest form, and the theater is that, especially IMAX and awesome surround sound, if you will. I understand everyone's point of view basically on this. I just hope that these theaters can be bailed out to just hang in there until this pandemic's over with, and I think we're gonna need them again. We already have video stores going, and that's sad enough. I don't want the theaters to do the same. I love that they're gonna be available to me, but I do understand the creators being upset about it. It is what it is, I guess. But yeah, it's gonna be weird to not see those on the big screen. Some of those films, anyway. I might actually go out and see them. I'm not sure yet. I still probably won't eat. I'll just have my mask on the whole time. But I want to get back to the theater so bad. I haven't been without it this long, forever. I think maybe when I was a kid, but it's crazy. It was one of the things I love to do, and go out to eat. Probably won't jump on that bandwagon, but I could see the theater maybe being a possibility. But at the same time, it's free if you have HBO Max, which I think, Mitch, you're definitely getting talked into getting again, aren't you? At this point.
Oh yeah. Once things pick back up again, I'll get it again. Yeah.
Sure. Well, before we go, anyone got any recommendations?
I finally started the Boys on Amazon Prime, which has been a fantastic show. So
yes,
if you guys have that, obviously not for kids.
No.
Check it out because that show is awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to finish season 2. Or season 2 did end, right?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
I got to finish it. I picked it up again and I stopped, so I got to get back on that. What about you, Mitch?
Yeah, The Boys is really good. I'll give you that. I would just say keep on watching The Mandalorian.
Hell yeah.
Like you guys have mentioned, each episode continually gets better. So yeah.
Yeah, it's building up to something, that's for sure. I'm excited.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably watch them again. I need to just binge it all over again, season 1 and on, and yeah, that's pretty cool. I started watching. I didn't finish it yet because other things came up, but I was watching the Bee Gees documentary on HBO Max. Just dropped yesterday, so I think it's Bee Gees. How do you mend a broken heart? Yeah, it's really a bummer because Barry Gibb's the only one that's still alive out of all the brothers, and he's the oldest too, which is just crazy. But it is sad to hear him talk because, it's like, yeah, he's kind of alone. I mean, he has his own family, obviously, but still, it's like, wow, you guys were this group, and it's like, it's just you. But yeah, that's a very good documentary. I also started watching my wife and I finished it. Murder on, I think it was Murder on Middle Beach, I believe. Awesome documentary on HBO Max as well. So it's basically this kid, filmmaker student, his mom was murdered back in 2010. Yes, 2010. And so it just kind of explores what went down. There's all these theories. It's a very good series. I think it's 4 episodes, maybe. Definitely worth the time watching. You need to check that out. And also, Happiest Season. It's on Hulu. Stars her and Mackenzie Davis. Very good film. They're a lesbian couple, and one of them, Mackenzie Davis' character, they're going to her parents for the holidays. They don't know she's a lesbian, so she didn't really tell Kristen Stewart, her partner, about it till they get there. Mackenzie Davis's father is running for mayor. It just embodies everything in families, right? It's really good drama. It's comedy. Dan Levy's in it from Schitt's Creek. It was a good film. I think you should definitely check it out. It went directly to Hulu, so yeah, I thought it was really well written and great characters, and overall, yeah, I'd definitely watch it again. So yeah, that's what I have to recommend for now. And of course, yeah, The Mandalorian, check that out. That's it, guys. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Jonah, come back anytime. Oh, please plug all your cool stuff you're doing. I know you got an awesome YouTube channel with your son.
Toys for all ages. We only have a couple episodes out there, but we looked at some Star Wars toys, kind of his take on it as a child, my take on it as a man-child. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we do have some more materials planned that we want to cover. So
sweet,
more to come on that. But yeah, I'll hopefully the next time I'm on, I'll have a new episode that I can plug. So
for sure. Yeah, I look forward to it. I think that's awesome to do with your kid, and yeah, check out that YouTube channel. Check our stuff out as well. Field of Geeks. Guys, thanks again. I'm Josh.
I'm Mitch.
And I'm Jonah.
We'll be back. Take care.
See you guys.
See ya.
Yep.